Most chill a sight in the United States today are the grimy clusters of abandoned textile plants, which shroud most New England mill towns in unbroken gloom. For the textile industry that built mile upon mile of New England factories has for the past 30 years been migrating slowly but steadily southward to the cotton belt, the states where labor is cheapest. Establishing themselves within easy transportation distance of the plantations, these new mills have gradually won for the South supremacy in the nation's textile industry. Today, outproduce New England mills 4-1. Late in 1935, Manchester, New Hampshire, though its mills were temporarily shut down, still had confidence that Amoskeag, the great textile company that had supported its citizens for 4 generations, would reopen after the Christmas holidays. Thronging the streets, Manchester crowds, predominantly a mixture of thrifty Yankee and French-Canadian mill workers, spent freely of the savings which had accumulated from long years of good times. Then, as the city's leading newspaper prepares its Christmas edition, to publisher Edmund Jewell comes grim news.
Well, Bob, here's your Christmas story. Amoskeag's in bankruptcy.
Off the presses rolls the dismal news that the end has come at last to the mills which, since 1805, had provided work and homes for most of Manchester's 20,000 families. All of Manchester's 17,000 textile workers. Gradually during the next 8 months, Amoskeag's tremendous factories, extending for a full mile north and south along the banks of the Merrimack River, assume the familiar look of a New England ghost town. Belatedly, Manchester, its one major industry gone, feels the full impact of economic adversity. The mill families, their savings exhausted, turn to relief and charity. Then in August 1936 comes the familiar, inevitable epilogue to industrial failure. Amoskeag will be offered to the highest bidder. Appealing to his fellow townsmen to act, publisher Jewell sums up Manchester's plight.
For almost 150 years, Manchester has been a one-industry town. If we'd had 20 different small industries instead of one big one, Manchester would not be faced with ruination today.
Next day, Manchester businessmen, led by their ex-mayor, Arthur Moreau, finally agree the time has come for action.
If we can get the ownership of Amoskeag where it belongs, right here in Manchester, perhaps we can do something. Whatever we do, we've got to move fast.
Before the auction can take place, the new committee appeals to the federal referee in Amoskeag's bankruptcy.
Gentlemen, the Amoskeag mills are worth at least $5 million. If you'll deposit a cash guarantee of $500,000 by noon tomorrow, I'll give you 10 days in which to raise the balance of the $5 million. If you can do it, there'll be no public auction.
Though Manchester leaders quickly raised the option money, to secure the rest of the guaranteed $5 million, the new promoters organize a Save Amoskeag drive. First canvass Manchester, eventually all New Hampshire. But at the end of 10 days, without once leaving the state, their job is done. For the first time in its long history, Amoskeag becomes 100% New Hampshire owned. Sorely tempted by the chance to make a quick profit, the committee consults those with the most at stake.
We're not selling. Manchester's not going to be a one-industry town again.
We started out to save this thing, and I'm for seeing it through.
I feel the acceptance of this offer would defeat our original plan, which is to keep Manchester industries in Manchester.
Thus, supported by their directors, the new managers plunge into the job of leasing, renting, and selling 75 empty factories to suitably diversified industries. In 10 short months, the faith of Manchester citizens in their plan is justified. Into the old abandoned textile plants moves one new company after another. Back to work in a revitalized Amoskeag go thousands of long unemployed workers, most of them former Manchester mill hands. And to Manchester citizens meeting to celebrate the first anniversary of their cooperative endeavor comes a fitting reward for Yankee tenacity.
After 1 year, we now have more than 30 diversified industries operating in place of the old mill. And we are pleased to announce to our stockholders a dividend of 125%.
Thus today, as the new Amoskeag development assumes the look of a boom town, to Manchester and its workers goes the satisfaction of being the ghost city that returned to life, the nation's success story of the year. Time marches on.